All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Momentus. We're going to have some fun today. I'm very excited. I'm going to pretend like Jin's not here and talk about Jin in front of them. I'm excited for this for a number of reasons. One, I've grown up around tarot since I was a kid, and I'm always fascinated by the process of intuition, the process of learning more about myself. So I'm excited to dive in today. A couple of quick points of order. There is a chat. Yep, there's a chat here. Let's just make sure it's working, shall we? Everyone can chat starting now. And you can ask questions in our Q&A box. So there's a little Q&A button at the bottom. If you have questions while we go, please do ask questions. This is the first in a series of 3 classes. So I'm not going to talk much more, but I'm going to introduce Jin. Hello, Gabby. Hi, Jin.
Hey, great to see you.
Good to see
Hi,
you.
Gabby. Welcome.
Welcome. So we have a bit to get through today, and then I want to just make sure you have ample time. We will hold this class, and then as class starts to round out and finish off, we'll also open up a little bit of time for Q&A as well. But ask your questions, use the chat, and then those who have purchased a meet and greet, we will do that. We will have everyone exit, and we'll stay in here for the meet and greet. All right, Jin, I've said enough. I've done enough. Let us hit the road. Oh,
Oh no.
I've started it off really awkwardly. So really, the bar is now down here, and there's nothing but uphill. Or anyway.
Emily says ow and then LOL. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Tanisa. It's great to see you, Gabby, Heather, Linda, Louise, Emily, Avara. Tell me if I'm pronouncing that right. Um, Hi from Singapore, Erica Janine. Great. Yeah, if you want to just pop in, if you haven't yet, your name and location in the chat. Would love to say hi to you, get to know you a little bit. Avara, yes, I pronounced it right. Okay, so we're going to talk about tarot today, and I would love to hear from you. What would you say is your experience level? Beginner, intermediate, advanced? Can just pop that into the chat. Hi, Nancy and Cheryl. Beginner, great. Wherever you are is fabulous. Yay, I love beginner. I love it. Awesome, Ryan. Yay, so many beginners. This is fantastic because pre-beginner, the advantage of being a beginner is that you don't have preconceptions about what the cards mean. So you really get to use your intuition and your imagination to have an open mind about what the card could mean, which is a lot more interesting than relying simply on book knowledge. And my goal for you here today is to learn how to use your intuition first and then consult the book. Because the whole thing about tarot, in my view, is it's about getting in touch with our intuition and our imagination and who we are and what we need in order to move through our lives in a conscious, healthy way. So, as you may know, tarot is sometimes used for fortune telling. And we'll talk a little bit about tarot history here. So it is used for fortune telling to this day. But I would say in the past, maybe century, it has come to be used more in conjunction with psychology and more storytelling practices that get us in touch with our intuition, that put us at the center rather than putting the power of the cards at the center, as if the cards are so magical that they could predict the future and tell us exactly what to do. No. The cards are a tool to get in touch with us. So, brief thing about tarot history, I'll just say, playing cards and divination tools, fortune telling tools, date back to 6th century China. And then we have playing cards spreading to Egypt. I have to check the exact date on that. But that happened in the 1300s. And then, those are also, there are sort of stories that along the way, these cards were used for fortune telling tools as well, although we don't have specific evidence of that. What we do know for sure is that the tarot cards as we know it, and if you have a deck, that's what we're talking about. Tarot cards as we know it today originated back to the 1400s during the Italian Renaissance. And there are 4 suits, just like playing cards. And there's also this category called the major arcana, which is more allegorical and deals with big picture life themes. So we have tarot cards. There are 78 cards. There are 22 major arcana cards, which deal with those big picture life themes that we talked about. And then the rest of the cards are the minor arcana cards, which have the 4 suits, just like in a regular suit of playing cards. And we'll talk about exactly what the 4 suits are in a second. I don't want to overwhelm you with information because, like I said, just like acting or any pursuit, we got to keep the most important thing in mind. We don't want the technique to get in the way. The technique is a tool. So the goal is getting in touch with ourselves. I'm going to just pause to check the chat real quick so that we're on the same page, and then we'll start working with the cards. Oh yeah, Charlie, go ahead.
So a lot of beginners. I think there aren't any questions quite yet, but the point is well taken. I think to focus on what our relationship is to the cards. I think I wanted to ask if does everyone have cards at hand? Was the next question. So if you can just let us know in the chat if you have any cards at hand. Great. And Jin also has cards that they can show you as well.
Absolutely. Nice.
I
I like that some people are saying they need to get in touch with themselves. That's great. Yeah, Emily, that's okay. No worries. I'll provide options. Supernatural deck. Cool.
Oh yeah, I've got there we go.
Your Trek deck.
That's right. The magician.
I love it. Okay, cool. So we're talking about decks, which is great. And there are a lot of modern decks going around that are great to have and know about. And I want to go over the 3 major decks that there are, and the one that I think is really good to have as a beginner. So the 3 major decks are Marseille, which originated in 1600s, 1400s, 1700s. And then the Rider-Waite-Smith and the Thoth tarot deck originated in the 20th century. So the one that's good to have is the Rider-Waite-Smith. This is the best one for learning. It's also really good because, yeah, I can spell the titles for you. I'll put it in the chat right now. So Rider-Waite-Smith is that one. And then we have Thoth and Marseille. So Rider-Waite-Smith is good because it has images, which make it a lot easier to grasp the content, like this. The other benefit, I can't see my self view, so let me, the other benefit of the Rider-Waite-Smith is a lot of these decks that are, there's so many decks, right? a lot of these modern decks are based on these images. So for instance, I have the Queer Tarot deck right here, which I use quite frequently. And you'll see here, oh, this came up just spontaneously, which is great. You'll see here, this is the original, and this is the new artwork from this new deck. So I would say also the bulk of interpretations online and in books use the Rider-Waite-Smith. So it's a really good one to know. Like, this book, I mean, this book is crazy. It's like, I haven't even made my way through the whole thing, but this uses Rider-Waite-Smith, for instance. A lot of these tarot research books that are sort of seminal works in the field start with using that as the interpretation. Holistic Tarot, yes, that is the book. So what I like to do, there is no prerequisite for getting into tarot. Let's get into it right now. So the question I'm going to ask you is, we're not going to pull a card. I'm going to have you look at your cards, but I'm not going to have you pull a card because I want to take the power away from this synchronicity element of tarot, which is very interesting. Of, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just pulled up the cards and it was the same one. When I did this, I lost it now, but when I just pulled up to you randomly the same card, that kind of fun stuff happens all the time. But I think it's important to not give too much credence to it, because then we get a little bit crazy about tarot being magical in this special way. So I want to put the focus on you. So what I want you to do, and if you don't have a deck, don't worry, I'll tell you in a second what we're going to do. What I want you to do is just flip through your cards and pick which card you're drawn to today. You don't have to go through all of them. But if there's a card that appeals to you for some reason, I want you to just pick it out of the deck. And for those of you who don't have your cards with you, I am going to share my screen and I'm going to just shuffle. And you can pick some cards. There it comes up again. I do like synchronicity, so let's think about that card, maybe something to look at. I'm going to just pull a few more, and you can pick the one that resonates with you. And when you're done picking your card, just say in the chat what card you picked. The Fool, great card. The High Priestess, Hanged Man, another High Priestess, a lot of High Priestesses here. Oh, right, because it's here, great. Queen of Swords. Oh, it's Kylie. Is it Kylie that I know, Kylie? Ace of Swords, yes. Oh, Kylie, I'm so glad you're here. You're supposed to pick the card face up or face down. Oh, we're not worrying about drawing the cards in any special way at this point. We're just picking a card. Pick a card that maybe I wasn't clear. Pick a card that you like. So you actually are looking at the cards. Just pick something you like. And welcome to your 10-year-old. King of Coins. Okay, great. So now what I want you to do is let go of any book definitions you might have. And I want you to just do a little writing if you have a pen and paper, or you can just write it in the chat about why you think this card resonates with you. Maybe there are images that pop out or words that come to mind. And if you'd like to share, that would be great. And don't worry about having some kind of epic answer. Always been one to play the fool in life. I love that. Feet are grounded. Nice. Looking out / forward. Strong. Holding a scroll and you're a reader. These are great. So you already know about yourself and you know about the cards. And all these insights, you'll be surprised if you start leading with your intuition, how often what you see intuitively is the book definition. That's what's great about these cards too, because it's very easy, really, to know what the meaning is. You like the picture. Great, good enough. She looks fierce, but is wearing all these soft things like flowers. Fairy-like, light and airy. I love the moon on my card and my deck behind her. These are all great. Okay, so let's bring this down now so you can just see me. So a lot of the ones that you picked are from the major arcana. Those are the ones that are kind of the most fun and interesting. My favorite from the major arcana at the moment is the Hermit. I'm going on a meditation retreat right after this. So as an introvert, I really need my hermit time. So because the major arcana, I think, is a little easier to grasp and somewhat more fun in a way, we're going to start by looking at a few major arcana cards today. I know we all need some hermitude in this society. So some of you looked at the High Priestess. The High Priestess is about following intuition, and she sits at the threshold between the conscious and the subconscious realms. So she's sort of this guide between states of mind, states of consciousness. And this represents something that is a little controversial to talk about now in tarot, which is masculine and feminine energies. But she is considered to be one of the exemplaries, is that the word? One of the examples in the deck of the receptive aspect of feminine energy. We have, for instance, the Empress, which is right here. Sometimes the synchronicities are quite unusual and fun. Like, what? I'm so often accused of following my gut rather than logic. This is your champion at the moment to say, nope, I'm following my gut rather than leading with the intellect. So the High Priestess is encouraging you to embrace that. And then the Empress is more of the active aspect of the feminine, which is the caretaking role, the nurturing role. So there are many ways to look at cards and themes across cards. One of them is feminine and masculine. There are many, many others. Another one I'd like to point to, because synchronistically, we've got two. We pulled this one twice already. We have this guy. Just intuitively, what do you think this is all about? Regret. Yeah. sorrow, worried. Yes, grief, sorrow. You got it. Like, you don't need the book. The book is great, but there's always more to learn. So just start where you are. Being stuck in the past. Great. And based on, yeah, really intuitive folks here, you guys are on it. Based on this, just take a stab at it. Take a stab at it. That's a pun for you. What do you think the suit of swords represents? Any thoughts? Yes! The past. Oh, that's interesting. I can see how you would think that, but in this case, we're getting the past more from the posture of the person and the hands over the face. Pain. The suit of swords is the most conflict-oriented suit for sure. Emotions, that's interesting. Emotions actually correspond to the suit of cups. I wonder if I have an example here. So here, for instance, cups representing overwhelming love and compassion. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit because I'm just sort of freeform talking. If you want to write this down so that you can just sort of remember for later as a guideline, feel free. Don't worry about remembering it now. Armor or protection, a lot of swords cards do correspond to that. Yes, do deal with that. Conflict, fighting. So we have 4 suits in the minor arcana. Does everyone remember there was major and minor? Everyone remembers that, right? Is there any confusion about that? Major are big picture, life themes. Minor is day-to-day. Cool. So the minor arcana deals with day-to-day concerns, and we have 4 suits. Cups, pentacles or coins, swords, and wands. Cups are about emotions and relationships, and they correspond to the element water. Pentacles are about worldly concerns, money, resources, and they correspond to the element earth. Then we have swords, which correspond to thoughts, the intellect, reason, logic, also conflict, and they correspond with air, the element air. And then we have wands, which go with fire, and they're about energy, enthusiasm, vision, sort of the fire that drives our decision making. Swords also decision making. So those are the 4 suits. And we'll get into those more next time. But today, I want to pick 3 cards from the major arcana to explore. It's so much more I wanted to go over, but I think this is the right direction to just look at 3 pillars of the major arcana. But why don't I pause and actually take a couple, take a couple questions or comments as to what you feel would be the most useful, most helpful use of our time for the next 10-ish minutes. We can do major arcana. We can do some more card pulls where you're playing with your deck more. You're appreciating the overview. Introduction to,
I
yeah.
will say also many of the people here have purchased the entire series. So knowing that, you know, in this next class, we're going to get into a little bit more about the deck itself. This is an overview I don't think I've ever heard in this completeness in this way in a long time, if ever, because our understanding of how we relate to the deck, but also what the deck holds, we focus on what the deck holds before we've established any of these other sort of relationship pieces. So it's really good.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, great. So let's take a look at the major arcana. I am going to move my cards here. There are a lot of cards in the major arcana. We don't have time to go over them all. So my suggestion after this class is for you to lay out the cards on a big table or on the floor. Put the major arcana cards in order. So I'll show you here. We want to first be able to identify major from minor. So you can see here, you know, which ones are the major. Put in the chat. Which ones are the major arcana in this little spread here? The Fool and the Hermit. Great. Awesome. So now you can identify the difference, and these are minor. So when you're going through your deck, you're just going to pull out all the major cards. You don't have to do this now. We'll just talk now, and you can do this after. And if you'll notice, there are numbers here. So you're going to put them in order. The Fool is first. So no minors for today. And what I want to just do today is point to a few pillars. I mean, this one I just have because I like it, but I really wanted to focus on these three here. Oh, oops, you can't see. Hold on. We'll put that there. Why not? It's a little crooked, isn't it? There we go. So what would you say? We have the Fool, the Hermit, Death, and the World. Based on these four, what would you say is the story or the progression from beginning to end of the major arcana? If you were imagining this was the hero's journey from beginning to end, how would you describe it in like a sentence? Yeah, the Fool starting the journey. Innocence to experience. Love that. Born foolish. Yeah. And what about these ones in the middle? Do we have any thoughts on why these are important? Growth. Hermit is providing guidance. Lovely. Moving into experience. Great. So this is there's a lot of writing out there on the Fool's journey and what it represents and how to interpret this journey from 0 to 21. But I think that the most simple and helpful understanding that I found is that the Fool travels through the major arcana, encounters different people and experiences in order to come out spiritually evolved or at the next level of their maturity. Death, getting rid of things that inhibit, exactly. So you notice death is not at the end. That's a very different story, isn't it? How would the story be different if it was like this? To be enlightened, you have to be alone and to cast off what is not needed. That's great, Kylie. Journey, begin, lost searching, the quest, getting rid of things that inhibit. For me, when I see it this way, there's a finality to death, when actually, the way it is this way. Yeah, death would be the end. Exactly, Linda. Where death is, what do you think that this card, it's a little hard to see. I'm going to see if I can hold it. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch here. So what do you think, knowing that death is not the final card in the major arcana, and just taking a look at some of the images here, what do you think death means in the tarot? It's a holy man. Yeah, it's like a bishop or some sort of religious official. Change. Yeah, I would love to hear. Oh, we got a couple change. That's great. The end of something as you start a new thing. Chance, you can't avoid it. It's coming and you don't know when it's coming. An end which would be different from the end. Things to end to make space for new. Growing through life, end of old ways. Yeah, so it's not even necessarily a life, it's the end of some sort of process. And the emblem on the flag is a 5-pointed rose, or a rose with 5 petals. And we'll get into this more next class, but numerology for tarot kind of helps us, gives us some guidance. 5s are about transition. And rose is about beauty. So perhaps the flag is representing the beauty of transitions. The sunrise is great. Yes, the sun or setting. But the sun sets and the sun rises. It doesn't just set. It rises too. Getting new ideas and rethinking the old. Yeah, these are great. You guys are ready to read for yourselves. This is awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
It seems, Jin, also like within we're talking about intuition, we're talking about, our interpretation, of these things where we can look at death and see, we see finality, but there's also these dualities within those cards too, of like, maybe death is transformation of something by something finishing, or something, the sunrise being the sunset. There's a lot of like interesting two-sided pieces of that dialectical, I guess,
Yeah, a lot of polarities.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. So I would love to take 5 more minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's do 5.
Okay. So I just want to briefly go over, let's see, what's the best thing to do? Okay. I'll have you notice 2 things. I'm trying to condense this. Okay. You all are intuitively gathering what the cards are about based on the images, based on your own personal experience that you're bringing to what you're seeing. And I just want to add one more thing that you might already be seeing, but to just sort of codify what you're doing when you're looking at a card. One of the things that you can look at, one of the many things, we could talk about this forever, but one of the many things you could look at is posture. What does this posture indicate? Just pop it in the chat real quick and we'll go through each one with that in mind. Carefree, beautiful. What does this posture indicate with the head down? Humility, soulful. What is this posture? You can't really see it here, but there's someone sort of in a begging position. But let's just say, let's look, because you can't see too well, at the attire of this. What does it mean that the skeleton is in armor? A fight, pride, strength. Oh, duty and responsibility. Never thought of that. Love that. Protection. Where my mind was going was invincibility. Death is gonna be here forever no matter what. But I really like the ones that you brought too, and I think they're equally valid. And then this one's a little interesting. Her body's going one way and the head is going the other way. The head is going to the past, the body's going to the future. What do you think that might mean? Letting go. Freedom, balance, moving forward despite the past. This is all fabulous stuff. And I think we're getting balance also from taking the lessons as you move forward. Yeah, all encompassing. These are all so great. You're drawn to the wreath, this circular kind of infinity sign, just going around and around, continuing. We've gone through the whole major arcana and we're ready to move through and go again. We're just going to keep going. And you get the stability from these fixed symbols of the zodiac, the 4 north, south, east, west. There's a stability and a harmony in this card that suggests the harmony that comes with completing the journey and being ready to embark on a new one. So, like I said, 2 things you can do when you go home is when you go home, you're already home. We're all home. Is put all of the major arcana cards in order. Jot down your insights, your initial impressions. And how great is it that you're a beginner? You're not going to look at the book yet at all. Jot down your impressions. And then pick a couple where you're like, ooh, I'm really curious about this one. Maybe I'll look it up online and see if there are some additional insights that will deepen my understanding of this card. So that's your assignment 1, if you want to do it. And then your second assignment is shuffle your cards however you want. Don't get too fancy with it. And then just pick one. And again, do the same exact thing where it's like, even if it's a more difficult card, like these cards are sometimes difficult to interpret, the face cards, or if it's, if it's a minor arcana card, kind of sometimes more difficult. But just, again, jot down your initial impressions. And if you want to look it up, look it up. And I missed one thing, which is when you're pulling a card, I'll give you a question to ask that'll be really easy, which is, what would be helpful for me to know about today? What can I keep in mind today? Something along those lines. And that's it. So sorry I went so long, but it was fun. So I was having trouble stopping.
No, and that's a good problem to have. So as we close out here, I just want to remind everybody, class 2 is a week from today at 10 a.m. again, Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be getting into, as the description says, tarot technology, which is being more familiar with the deck. We started to hint at that today, getting familiar with the major and minor arcana and what the, maybe a couple of simple spreads even, Jin, or some practices that, give you a little bit more trust and relationship with your deck. So we'll get into a bit more. Also, there are meet and greets available for the upcoming classes. Meet and greet people stay here in this Zoom and we'll continue here. So if you'd like to go and dive a little bit deeper, or you have specific questions, or you want to spend a little bit more time, we can do that. And yeah, just ground that understanding in the deck a little bit more next time. So we'll have yeah, make sure you got your deck, and yeah, it'll be awesome. Anything else, Jin, before we sign off?
Yeah, if you want to connect with me on Discord, just go to jinmaley.com.
Perfect. Yes, you have a Discord, and you do private readings as well, which I wanted to say for everybody here too. So you can sign up for a reading with Jin through the site as well. So we'll
Absolutely, I'll give you a little discount. It'd be great to work with you one-on-one.
Yeah, it might even be helpful as you start to get to know the deck next time too. So maybe consider that, everybody. Okay, great. So thank you, everybody, for coming. We'll see you at the next class next Saturday. And thank you for all of everybody's participation. Have fun, do good. We're